Hey Steve, is this microphone working? Are we working here? Can I wander around? Oh, that's so much better for me. I'm really bad at being trapped behind a podium, guys. I'm trapped on an airplane most of the time. So when I'm not sitting in an airplane seat, I gotta pace, so forgive me. It's really a privilege to be here. It's my second trip to Ohio this year. So far this year, 26 states around the country. I've been all over the country because I care about the country. Because I'm a lot like you guys, I'm frustrated with what's going on in Washington, D.C. I'm frustrated with what's going on at state capitals all over the country. Mostly, I'm just frustrated because the people in buildings like this and in buildings all around the country, and especially in Washington, D.C., because they don't listen to us. Anybody out there feel like Washington, D.C. isn't listening to us? Yeah, it's a pretty consistent theme as I travel around the country. I hear that pretty much from everybody, that D.C. isn't listening to us. And this has happened before in our history. It's happened before where we face tremendous obstacles as a nation. It's happened since the very beginning of our nation that we faced obstacles, right? People tell us sometimes that this Convention of States thing is too difficult, that it can't be done. I hear people say it's impossible. We're a nation that's founded on doing the impossible, right? It was impossible for the original patriots to fight back against the greatest military power, the greatest empire on earth, and win and create a nation. It was impossible to be done, but by our faith in God and by providence, by our hard work, by our commitment, our forefathers founded this nation. And when I look out at people in the crowd here, what I see is the same people that founded the nation. This is really important for you to understand. You know, in history, we tend to study our history here in America and what I would call the great man or great woman, great person theory of history. But what I mean by that is we look back, for example, at the founding period, and we read about Adams, and Madison, and Jefferson. We know about Washington going on his knees in prayer for the nation. We learn about those things. We read Patrick Henry's great "Give me liberty or give me death" speech, right? Inspiring, amazing people who led the fight to create a nation. We know a lot about them. But I think that because we know so much about them, we don't really know our history. We don't really know about the people who founded the nation, because the people who founded the nation were not just Jefferson and Adams and Madison and families like that. There were thousands upon thousands of families. A full third of those in the colonies participated in the Revolutionary War. Many of them gave everything, their lives. Some of them lost their businesses, families splintered and destroyed. Extraordinary, valiant, gallant heroes from our past that we know nothing about. Thousands upon thousands of them. And I think their stories are important because their stories are our story. Most of us who engage in this fight, this epic struggle to preserve the Republic, will never be known for what we do. There's incredible leaders and district captains and people who are recruiting people one by one, people who come to testify in the state legislature. Most of those names will never be recorded in history, but they are the most important people in American history. You know, we know little snippets of that history. There's a great story about a great American patriot by the name of Captain Levi Preston. I would guess that nobody out here, maybe Bob because he's had to hear me say this before, but most people out here won't know who Captain Levi Preston is. Preston was one of the original Minutemen, fought in the battle at Lexington and Concord. I mean, incredible original patriot, right? And in 1843, a young historian by the name of Mellon Chamberlain was traveling the country collecting the oral histories of the original patriots. And he knew that those oral histories would be lost if he didn't collect them. Remember, no YouTube back then, right? No handheld video cameras. And in 1843, the original Minutemen, they were pretty old. They were in their late 80s, early 90s. I mean, we may know people like that today, but back then the average life expectancy was 54 years old. So somebody who was 90 years old, that was really old. And Preston was 91 when Chamberlain encountered him in North Carolina. And he asked him why he fought in the original American Revolution. What was it that brought him out on that field of battle that day? And he had this great man theory of history, Chamberlain did, when he was asking the questions. He thought he understood the American Revolution. And he asked Levi Preston, did you go out and fight because of the Stamp Act? You kids who are studying the Constitution know what I'm talking about, right? The colonists had to buy stamps and put them on every document. It was really just a tax. It was a limitation on their freedom and imposition on the great patriots of the day. And he asked him, did you fight because of the Stamp Act? And Preston replied, very relaxed way, he said, son, I never bought one of them. Governor locked him in the armory. That's the last we ever heard of him. And so he goes to the next thing we all know about American history.